That came about because we initially we were going to partner with General Motors and bring our loyalty product into their consumer apps. So they have apps for all their different brands. They've got the My GMC, My Cadillac, and so on and so forth. So the idea initially was to embed that loyalty functionality or that commerce functionality that we had into those apps and allow GM users to have additional things that they could do with their app besides, say, open their car door or schedule a maintenance or that type of thing, what these apps traditionally do. And then that led us into about that time, General Motors was moving quickly towards offering consumer and merchant type services, commerce type services through their vehicle itself. And because we were already working with them, they said, "Hey, would you like to, perhaps get into this thing and be a sort of a service provider, if you will, to through GM to bring merchants to the vehicle?" Gotcha. And so we worked with them for a number of years, and in doing so, we got a firsthand knowledge of what the challenges were for trying to do commerce through a vehicle.
Right.
Okay? And
some a lot of limitations in the user interface and all kinds of stuff.
There is, because of things like distracted driving, for example. I mean, the last thing that any merchant wants to be associated with is a car accident where people are injured or heaven forbid, killed or that type of thing. So, and also General Motors, the OEMs feel the exact same way. So what you had to do was come up with a solution that was minimally distractive to the occupant, but still offered value, right? Yeah. So that was the challenge, and what we saw as one of the biggest challenges to that was identifying the consumer back to the merchant. So. In the early days, General Motors wanted to have set up where for every merchant that we brought, the consumer, in order to do commerce with that merchant or do transactions, they would have to log in to the consumers, use the logins that they use in either their website or their mobile app.
Unified login kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that meant for a consumer is if there were 20 merchants that were available through the vehicle, they would have to first have 20 accounts, one for each of the merchants, because there's no sharing of that kind of information across merchant, right?
Right.
So and then they would have to, usually they had to have a mobile app or some other type thing. So we saw all these as basically barriers or points of friction that we could pull away by having the concept of just a universal account that a consumer could use across any merchant that came aboard with either GM or any of the other OEMs. And so we pitched that to General Motors, but they were somewhat hesitant to go down that route. They really wanted to have an arm's length relationship with the merchants, and so they preferred the route of sort of putting the merchant out front as and making the user understand that they were, by logging in, that they were dealing directly with the merchant, that type of thing. So we said, well, maybe everybody doesn't feel the same way as General Motors, and so we'll go out and we took basically the same work that we did to try to pitch them on that ULink concept, branded it ULink, and then we started talking to other companies.